After 198 days, a soldier discovers his abandoned daughter in a barn. An incredible K-9 saves her. As Jason stepped off the plane, the smell of Texas soil, freshly churned, wrapped around him like a familiar hug, heavy and sweet. But the weight of the world hung on his shoulders, a cruel reminder of the 198 days spent in uncertainties and gunfire. He blinked against the fiery sunset, the colors vibrant, yet the joy of homecoming felt muted. It should have been relief, but instead, it was a punch to the gut. He reached for his phone, hoping for a message, a familiar "I miss you," maybe even a picture of their little girl, Lily. But all he found was silence. His heart raced when he finally received a call from old friends. "Jason, she's gone. Lisa left, and Lily, she's missing." The words hit him hard, a strike that echoed louder than any explosion he'd witnessed. An icy numbness threatened to pull him under, but he took off his boots, pounding against the dusty roads that once held his childhood laughter. Memories flooded his mind as he raced through the twilight. The afternoon spent reading stories to Lily, her little giggles ringing like wind chimes, twisted together with gut-wrenching betrayal. How could she leave? Doubts clawed at his gut. He should have been there. He should have protected her. As he skidded to a stop at the old barn, the final destination of whispered rumors, he felt his blood run cold. The barn loomed ominously, paint peeling and wood splintered, just as he'd left it years ago. But there, amidst the torn hay and rusted tools, lay Charlie, a K-9 police dog whose glory days had long faded. The once proud K-9 was a picture of neglect, eyes dull and body thin. Slowly, Jason approached, his heart aching. They were both lost souls searching for redemption. When Charlie raised his weary head, their eyes met, and an unexpected connection sparked between them. "Help me find her, boy," Jason murmured, desperation lacing his voice. Charlie stood, his tail flicking hesitantly, a glimmer of hope igniting within him. Together, they set out, a soldier and a shadow of a soldier, a duo forged in abandonment and longing. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into a blur as Jason dug through the layers of small-town silence, the people watching cautiously, whispers trailing behind him like shadows. With every corner turned, the sting of their judgment pricked at him. The very community he'd fought for suddenly saw him as an outsider, a threat wrapped in fatigues. But not everyone turned away. Old friends, the very folks who once embraced him, gradually came forth, offering prayer vigils, barbecues, and a growing network of understanding. It was as if the familiar places he once roamed had transformed, shifting from reminders of pain to symbols of hope. Yet doubt crept in, gripping his heart tighter. Could he save Lily? Could he pull her back from whatever darkness had swallowed her? The agony of uncertainty mounted as he and Charlie stood at the threshold of the barn, ready to uncover a truth that trembled in the air. Then, a noise echoed from behind them, raw and unsettling, a reminder that their fight was far from over. Would love be enough to overcome the shadows of their past, or would their scars pull them deeper into despair? Jason's heart felt like it was caught in a vice. He turned quickly, hand instinctively going to his side, where he used to keep his service weapon. But it wasn't there anymore. The sound had been just a rustle, something shifting in the old hayloft above. Anxiety rippled through him. Was it the wind? Or something else, something lurking in the shadows of the barn? Charlie stood alert beside him, senses sharpened, brows furrowed like he understood the stakes. "Stay close, buddy," Jason whispered, the words catching in his throat. They moved cautiously toward the interior of the barn, his ears straining to detect any more sounds, anything that might guide them. The air was heavy with dust and desperation, but he refused to let that cling to him. Each creak of the old wooden planks beneath his boots echoed like a heartbeat, reminding him that time was slipping away. He had no idea where Lisa had taken Lily or why she'd left in the first place, but he had to find answers. "Check it out, Charlie," he said, pointing toward the loft. The K9 gave a low growl, muscles tensed, as he ambled toward the foot of the ladder, head craning upward. Heart pounding, Jason followed, each step a mix of fear and hope. When they reached the top, the sight nearly knocked the breath out of him, a pile of old belongings and memories Lisa had forsaken. Faded children's toys, pictures long forgotten, and a doll that looked remarkably like Lily. He picked it up, the weight of it both comforting and terrifying. How many times had Lily hugged this ragged thing? His throat tightened as a lump of regret surfaced. Suddenly, Charlie barked, snapping him from the memories threatening to drown him. "What is it, boy?" Jason peered over the edge as the dog sniffed vigorously towards one of the corners of the loft where a beam of sunlight broke through the tattered wood. Following Charlie's lead, Jason inched closer. There, half hidden behind stacks of discarded boxes, was something that sent a jolt through his body, a pink backpack, Lily's favorite. His pulse raced. Had she been here? "Lily!" he called, the word a raw whisper filled with longing. No answer came. Only silence, thick and heavy. As Charlie sniffed more intently, Jason felt hope flicker. It was just then he realized something: love made him brave, even in the face of despair. If there was a chance she had been here, there had to be some clue, something that might lead him to her. "Let us keep looking," he urged Charlie, who whimpered in response as if sensing the urgency in his voice. They raced back down the ladder, heartbeats racing in sync, and pushed towards the back of the barn, where shadows danced and secrets lurked, but as they rounded a corner, a muffled sound reached his ears, a soft, heart-wrenching sob. Jason froze. Was that Lily? Was she nearby? Panic surged. He glanced at Charlie, who seemed to nod as if he understood. Together, they moved stealthily, drawn to the sound like moths to a flame, hope and dread twisting together in Jason's chest. The sobbing grew louder, more desperate, and Jason felt a mix of dread and determination. But as they neared the source, another figure stepped into view, dark and unfamiliar. Jason's stomach dropped. "Who are you?" he demanded, the voice coming out stronger than he felt. The figure turned, and in that moment, Jason braced himself for battle, ready not just to fight but to reclaim what was rightfully his. What would happen next could change everything. Would this stranger be a threat, or an ally in his quest to find Lily? Jason's heart raced as he faced the figure. The dim light from the loft cast long shadows that obscured the stranger's features, but Jason could see the glint of fear in their eyes, mirroring his own. "I asked you a question," he pressed, stepping forward with Charlie at his side, ready to protect. "Please, don't come any closer." The voice was shaky but resolute. The figure was a woman, maybe in her 30s, with wild hair and tears streaking her dirt-smudged face. Jason's instincts screamed at him, but something in her posture suggested she was frightened rather than threatening. "Are you with Lisa?" he demanded. "Where's Lily?" The woman hesitated, glancing behind her as if the very shadows might swallow her whole. I don't know where Lisa is. I just came to look for her, for Lily." Jason's breath hitched. "You know Lily?" "Yes. I'm supposed to take care of her. I promise." She took a cautious step back but kept her eyes locked on his, her sincerity cutting through Jason's tension. "Who are you?" He couldn't let his guard down yet, but part of him felt the urge to trust her. Time felt different in the barn, thick and heavy. Every moment stretched into what felt like an eternity. "My name is Sarah," she said, wiping her tears with a trembling hand. "Lisa left her with me for a little while. I didn't agree with her choices." Her voice faltered. "Things got out of control. I was supposed to keep Lily safe." The name Sarah rang a bell. Jason's mind raced through memory, piecing together fragments. His gut twisted. You were Lisa's friend, he said, realization dawning. I didn't know what she was planning, Sarah cried, clutching the edge of an old wooden box. I thought I was helping her. A simmer of hope ignited within Jason, battling against the frustration and fear that had been building for days. If you really care about her, we need to find her now. Lily is somewhere out there, and she is scared. I can help, Sarah said, remorse spilling from her. I've been looking for them both. We can search together. Jason glanced at Charlie, who seemed to sense Jason's internal struggle. The K9's ears perked up and he nudged Jason's leg, grounding him. Could he trust this stranger with his daughter's safety? Do you know where they might have gone? Jason finally asked, his voice steadier, yet still edged with a hint of doubt. Yes, but it's not going to be easy. Lisa's been running, hiding. Sarah paused, swallowing hard. She might be at the old creek down the road. I tried to follow her once, but it was dangerous. Jason's instincts kicked in, he had to act fast. Every minute wasted could mean further danger for Lily. Then let us move, he ordered. The urgency in his voice was firm. Charlie will lead the way, he said as the dog trotted toward the barn doors, eager to assist. As they stepped out into the dim light, the fading sun cast a warm hue across the landscape that seemed incredibly deceptive. Nothing about this felt safe. Jason stole a glance at Sarah, whose determination was palpable despite her fear. What if Lisa isn't at the creek? Sarah asked, a tremor in her voice. What if we'll find her? Jason interrupted, his resolve firming. I don't care how long it takes. With Charlie leading the charge, they raced down the dirt path, Jason's mind swirling with thoughts of Lily and the danger lurking around them. As they approached the creek, a chilling breeze swept through the trees, carrying with it the faintest echo of laughter. Jason's heart skipped a beat. Was it Lily? But before anyone could speak again, a sharp sound rang out from the direction of the water, a cry that shattered the moment and set his heart racing anew. Lily! He yelled, pushing forward, desperation fueling his every step. What lay ahead was uncertain, the path could lead to reunion or despair. And with every second that ticked by, the stakes grew higher. Jason sprinted toward the sound, his heart pounding in rhythm with his footsteps. The world around him blurred, focused solely on the desperate call that echoed in the fading light. Each beat of his heart echoed the fright in his mind. Lily needed him, and he couldn't be too late. Charlie was ahead, nose to the ground, leading the way. Jason could hear Sarah's hurried steps behind him, her breath quickening with every stride. What if she's hurt? She gasped, panic creeping into her voice, stark against the silence of the woods. She's not hurt, he snapped, trying to suppress the anxiety that threatened to overwhelm him. Not while we can still find her. The tall grass brushed against Jason's legs, resisting their urge to advance. He could see the outline of the creek through the trees, shimmering under the last hints of daylight. He hoped Lily was there, laughing, playing. But doubts mingled with his hope. Was she safe? Had Lisa really taken her to safety, or had she put her in harm's way once again? The cry echoed through the trees again, coming from a little farther down the bank. Jason pushed himself forward, shoving branches aside, determination propelling him onward. Lily! He shouted, his voice carrying an urgency that matched his racing heart. Sarah scrambled after him, her face a mask of fear mixed with a flicker of hope. I just know she's close, I can feel it, she said, as they neared the edge of the creek. Jason's heart dropped as they pushed through the last row of trees. And then he saw her. Lily stood by the water, her small figure silhouetted in the dim light. Her arms were outstretched, and her face was twisted in confusion and fear. But it wasn't just Lily who caught Jason's attention, it was the figure next to her. Lisa! He shouted, racing towards them, startled. Lily turned, eyes wide with surprise. Jason could see her smudged face, patches of dirt on her clothes, and his heart shattered at the sight of her. Daddy? Lily's voice wavered, relief and uncertainty dancing in her tone. Jason knelt at the edge of the creek, the water cold around his shins as he moved closer. "I'm right here, sweetheart. I'm here." The words spilled out with a blend of relief and disbelief, but frustration surged within him as he turned toward Lisa, who drifted away from them, her eyes darting nervously. "You shouldn't have come," she said, her voice tight. "Why, Lisa?" Jason couldn't contain his anger. "What were you thinking? You put her in danger." Stepping cautiously, Sarah slowly approached, her voice softening. "Lisa, please. She needs her father. We all need to talk. Stay back." Lisa's voice cracked, fear blazing in her eyes. "I don't want this. I didn't plan for this." Lily took a step back, confused and scared. "Mommy, I wanted you." Her small voice broke, and Jason could see the little girl trying to make sense of everything happening around her. With Charlie at his side, Jason took one more step forward. "You need to listen to me, Lisa. Let us get Lily out of here. We can figure this out together, but we can't do it like this." But Lisa looked torn, and Jason could see the fight inside her, a storm of fear battling her instinct to protect. "You don't understand." "I understand enough," Jason shot back. "Give her to me now." In that moment, suspended between choices, he could sense the air shift. Just as he thought he could bridge the gap, the water around him surged with urgency. A nearby undercurrent stirred and rushed toward them, sending a splash of icy water up around his knees. "Hold on!" he yelled, reaching for Lily. But it wasn't just about her anymore. She looked between her mother and her father, the cries of confusion digging at her soul. Jason's heart sank again. This fight was not just for Lily's safety, it was for her trust too. Everything hung in the air like a tightly drawn bowstring, and for a moment, Jason had to question everything. Would they go home together, or would this moment tear them apart forever? And before he could take another step, a sudden sound echoed through the woods, an unexpected crack like thunderclap, shaking the earth beneath them. "What was that?" Sarah exclaimed, fear rippling through her voice. As the darkness deepened, Jason scanned the trees, instincts on high alert. Something was coming. Something dangerous. "Get back!" he shouted, eyes locked on the shadows creeping closer. This was about to become much worse. The ground trembled again, and Jason's heart raced. The shadows pooled around the trees, thickening with each heartbeat. "Lily!" he shouted again, but this time his voice wavered. Lisa stood frozen, her conflicted gaze bouncing between Jason and the advancing darkness. "We can't stay here," she yelled, panic sparking her movement. She took a step backward, her arms instinctively wrapping protectively around Lily. "No!" Jason's voice was firm as he struggled to keep his eyes on them. "Don't move. Stay close to me." The undercurrent rippled more angrily, the creek seeming to hiss at them now, joined by that ominous crack echoing from the woods. The fear in Sarah's eyes mirrored Jason's own, but he couldn't afford to show it. "Lisa!" Jason pressed, taking a cautious step closer, his hands raised in a placating gesture. "Let her go. Just let her come to me. She doesn't understand." Lisa shouted, the words spilling out in desperation. "She thinks I'm abandoning her. I can't lose her, Jason." Lily cried, her small voice breaking through the tension. "Mommy, please." The tears streamed down her dirt-streaked cheeks. She was caught in the middle of a storm between two parents who once promised her a safe world. The shadows grew thicker, and Jason felt the encroachment of fear tightening in his chest. "Then help me protect her." His voice rang out, forceful but raw with emotion. "Fight for her life, not against me." Jason's plea seemed to hang in the air for a moment, a fragile thread connecting the three of them, but all at once the shadows shifted violently, and they surged forward in a rush. "Run!" Jason shouted, needing no further encouragement as he lunged forward, pushing through the water. Lisa hesitated, caught between her instincts and Jason's command. "We can't just leave," she protested, but her expression was already changing. He could see at the realization that standing still meant danger. He reached for Lily, the cold water surging around him, but she took a step back. "No, Daddy. Mommy, trust me, Lily," Jason called out, his heart breaking like the branches snapping around them. "I won't let anything happen to you." With trembling hands, Lisa tugged on Lily's arm as another crack echoed through the woods, loud enough to shake the very ground beneath them. Uncertainty washed over Lisa's face as she took a step forward, desperation etched in her features. "Come on, baby. We need to go now." At last, she relinquished her hold, letting go just enough for Lily to dart towards Jason. He reached for her just as the trees rustled violently, a shadow looming in the dim light. Lily ran into his arms, the warmth of her body clutching onto him, almost grounding him to this moment. "Daddy, I was scared." Her voice trembled against his shoulder, and he felt tears pricking at his own eyes. "It's okay, I'm here," he whispered, cradling her against him. Jason shot a glance back at Lisa. "We can't stay now." With a last look, she turned, and together they sprinted along the bank. The shadows closing in, echoes of growls and rustling surrounded them, intermixing with the sound of rushing water. Jason didn't dare look back, thrusting himself forward as they reached the trees once more. They needed to get to safety, away from the darkness that threatened to swallow them whole. But behind them, something crashed through the thick brush, and in the flashing gloom, a figure emerged, a tall silhouette racing across their path with a fierce determination that could only be Charlie. "What is that?" Sarah shrieked, her voice shrill with terror. "Charlie." Jason recognized the K9, and his heart lifted slightly, hope flickered through the chaos. Just as Charlie reached them, barking fiercely, the air shifted again. The danger never relented, it pressed in like a vice, unyielding and cold. But as Jason grasped Lily tighter, he realized they needed to make a choice. "Forward!" he bellowed. "We can't stop now." The looming danger behind them felt like a beast ready to pounce, urging them on. They had to escape whatever was hunting them in the dark, but what awaited them ahead? As they plunged deeper into the woods, the fight for safety had only just begun. What if the danger turned out to be more than they anticipated? Jason's heart thundered in his chest as they pushed deeper into the woods, Charlie leading the way, teeth bared and bark piercing through the oppressive silence. The shadows flickered like restless spirits around them, but he couldn't afford to let fear grip him. Not now, not when Lily was in his arms. "Where do we go?" Lisa shouted breathlessly, her face pale as she glanced around, trying to gauge the safest path. The shadows seemed to thrum with life, drawing nearer, cloaked in the whispers of what lurked just out of sight. "Keep moving. Charlie knows," Jason yelled, giving a reassuring squeeze to Lily. Her small body shook against him, the tremors spilling out her fear. The sound of swooshing branches and hungry growls from behind only propelled him forward. They trudged onward, mud sucking at their shoes, the weight of danger heavy in the air. Jason glanced at Lisa. She held Lily's hand now, her grip fierce and protective. The barriers between them seemed to dissolve, each parent bound by the singular aim to keep their daughter safe. But another crack of branches echoed behind them, and they couldn't waste another moment reveling in their reunion. "Just trust me," he said, determination surging through him. A vibrant burst of energy came from Charlie as he bounded ahead. The K9 had the instincts of a predator, always on alert, as if sensing the precise peril that chased them. "Follow him," Jason urged. "He'll guide us." As they ran, adrenaline coursed through them, tiresome breaths mingling with the sounds of nature escalating into chaos around them. Shadows lunged, scraping at their heels with phantom claws, keeping them moving and desperate. Eventually, they reached a small clearing, an oasis in the chaos. The moonlight broke through the trees, casting an ethereal glow on the scene. Jason froze for just a heartbeat, catching his breath and eyeing their surroundings. "Is it safe?" Lisa panted, scanning the perimeter. "Just for a minute." Jason replied, unwilling to suggest even that small comfort, knowing the shadows and danger were just a breath behind them. Lily tugged on his shirt, her voice barely above a whisper. "Daddy, are we gonna be okay?" He knelt beside her, brushing his fingers gently through her hair. "We are, baby. I promise." But deep down, Jason struggled with the promise he made. How could he be sure? All he could feel was the grip of dread tightening around him. Just then, Charlie scurried away, sniffing the air, his posture shifting from eager to alert. Jason's heart sank. "Charlie?" The dog darted to the edge of the clearing, letting out a low growl. The tension hung thick like fog, and soon they all felt it, a vibration through the ground signaling the approaching threat. Closer now than ever. Jason clenched his jaw, realization dawning. This wasn't simply something to escape. It was hunting them, circling like wolves in the night. As fear clawed at him, his mind raced. They needed to decide fast: fight back or keep running. "Lisa!" he called out urgently, "what do we do?" Her eyes widened, a flicker of understanding lighting her face. "We can't let whatever it is take us. We have to stand and face it." Breath quickening, Jason felt the weight of her words. As Charlie moved closer, he sensed something shifting in the darkness, the air thick with anticipation, ready to explode. But as they readied themselves, the shadows twisted to reveal what had been lurking in the dark. "What is that?" Jason shouted, panic flooding his voice. The ground began to rumble. In that moment, uncertainty and terror collided. Was there still hope, or had they come too far without knowing what lay ahead? What were they really up against? A fight or flight moment was coming, and the answer would test the very limits of their courage. The shadows twisted and turned, revealing a creature that made Jason's skin crawl. It was larger than any dog he'd ever seen, its eyes glowing like coals in the night. Fear gripped him, squeezing his chest so tightly he could barely breathe. This wasn't just an animal, it was a manifestation of their nightmares, a predator that had become the embodiment of their terror. "Stay behind me!" he shouted instinctively, moving closer to Lily and Lisa, his body acting as a shield. Charlie stood his ground, his growl deepening, teeth bared as he eyed the beast. It stalked toward them with a menacing grace, each step punctuated by the crackle of fallen leaves beneath its enormous paws. "Jason, we can't just stand here." Lisa's voice pierced through his paralysis. "We've got to do something." He turned to her, desperation flooding his mind. "What do you suggest?" "We cannot outrun it." Suddenly, Jason recalled the tools in his backpack. They might not be staggering weapons, but they were better than nothing. "I've got a couple of flares," he said. "It might be enough to distract it." "Then go," Lisa urged, and he bolted, heart racing. As he rummaged through the bag, the low growl of the beast intensified. He grabbed a flare, fumbling with it as he heard Charlie bark fiercely, sensing danger beyond what Jason could see. Come on," he muttered, his hands shaking as he struggled with the mechanism. Finally, it ignited, a burst of bright orange lighting up the clearing and casting eerie shadows across their faces. He turned back, aiming the flare toward the creature. "Hey! Over here!" he shouted, holding it high as if it were a light against the darkness. The beast paused, its attention now on the signal. In that split second, fear transformed into determination. "Now, Jason!" Lisa yelled, grabbing Lily's hand firmly as both of them edged backward. He threw the flare to the ground, its brightness spilling like lava. The creature lunged forward, distracted, its attention momentarily diverted. "Go! Run!" he screamed, racing back to his family. They turned on their heels, moving as quickly as they could through the thicket, branches snapping and clawing at their clothes. As the distance between them and the creature increased, they could hear it thrashing behind them, its roars echoing in the darkness. Jason's heart raced, mixing fear with adrenaline. They had managed to escape for now, but for how long? "Where do we go?" Lisa asked, breathless as they stumbled onto a narrow trail, its edges illuminated by the distant moonlight. "Just keep moving," Jason urged, pain and fear twisting his gut. Ahead, he spotted a cluster of trees wrapped in silver light, but a pooling dread gnawed at him. "Can we trust this path?" Lily's small voice shook him, pulling him back from the edge of panic. "We don't have any other choice," he replied, glancing back. The beast seemed to have calmed, but he could hear the rustling of leaves close behind. But just when they thought they might catch a breather, a scream echoed through the woods, a high-pitched wail that turned Jason's blood cold. It wasn't Lily, it was another child. What was that? Jason spun around. "Please don't tell me it's Lisa," started, eyes wide with worry. "It can't be," he whispered, heart sinking. But even as he spoke, a horrible thought crept into his mind. Did the woods hold more secrets than they bargained for? They pressed on, determination mingling with dread, unsure of what truths the shadows concealed. As they neared a crossroad, another scream sliced through the air, the sound of desperation and fear. Was someone calling for help? Jason hesitated only for a moment, the weight of that cry pulling at his heart. "We have to check it out." "Are you insane?" Lisa exclaimed, pulling him back with urgency. "This could be someone who needs help." He met her gaze, his resolve hardening. But what lay ahead under the shadows could change everything. Would they be prepared for the truth lurking just beyond sight? Jason's instincts screamed against the idea of branching off into the unknown, but the cries of that child, a haunting melody of fear and pain, pulled at him like a thread unraveling everything he thought he knew. "Listen," he said, urgency etching deeper lines into his face. "If we leave that kid behind, we're just as bad as that creature chasing us." Breaths came faster, sharper. He glanced back, measuring the distance to the echoes drifting through the trees. Lisa's grip tightened around Lily's hand. "But what if it's a trap?" Panic slithered into her voice. Jason turned to Lily, the little girl's wide eyes reflecting both fright and trust. "You trust me, right? We can't ignore someone who might need us." He felt the weight of their fear, a weight he had to lift, like the crumbled branches underfoot. Before Lisa could respond, he felt a surge of adrenaline, a tether to something bigger than just survival. "We're going. Now." He pushed back the urge to hesitate, urging them toward the voices calling out from deeper in the woods. They followed the screams, weaving through the trees. Each step over the mossy ground carried a taste of decay and desperation. The cool night air hung thick with dread, a reminder of the creature shadowing their steps. Then, just ahead, they broke into a clearing where the moonlight pooled like spilled ink. And there, under the skeletal limbs of ancient trees, Jason saw her, small and desperate, huddled against a tree, her face streaked with tears. "Help me!" the child wailed. His heart lurched. "It's okay. We're coming," Jason shouted, moving toward her as fast as he could, not daring to look back at Lisa or Lily. All that mattered was this girl in need, her eyes wide, filled with a fear that mirrored his own, but as he reached out to her, the ground trembled beneath them. Jason froze, a deep growl rumbled from the shadows beyond the clearing, unmistakable and furious. The beast was back. It had found them again. "No!" He turned, facing Lisa and Lily. "Run! Get her away!" He gestured urgently toward the child, whose little face was awash with confusion and fear. They hesitated, the same primal fear gripping them all. But the child kept crying, "Help!" drowning out every rational thought. "Jason!" Lisa shouted, her eyes searching his. "We can't just leave you." "I want to let it take her," he said, adrenaline igniting his determination as he turned back to the girl, heart thunderous as the creature moved closer. "Trust me." Then Charlie broke through the thicket, more snarling than Jason ever thought possible. The dog lunged to protect them, standing between the girl and the dark shadows rising behind him. "Come on!" Lily shouted, grasping the other child's hand. They ran, Lily tugging her forward as they skidded through the leaves, hearts racing. Jason watched as they disappeared into the trees, taking the child away from danger. But he knew the threat was still looming larger behind him. With a deep breath, Jason dug into the small pouch on his backpack, pulling out the second flare. He could hear the beast crushing through the underbrush now, a furious whirlwind of claws and fangs. "Not today," he whispered fiercely, lighting the flare and flinging it into the air, its light bursting like a small sun in the darkness. The creature halted, drawn momentarily by the blaze. This was the chance they needed. But they had to hurry. As he turned to find his family, he wondered, what if escaping didn't mean they were safe? And what if the truths lying just beyond the shadows had yet to surface? With his heart heavy, Jason chased after the sound of their steps, knowing that the woods held more horrors than they could ever imagine. What truth had they stumbled upon, and were they truly ready for what lay ahead? The clearing was an eerie silence, broken only by the fading retreat of hurried footsteps. Jason spun on his heel, heart hammering in his chest, ready to follow them when a bone-chilling growl rumbled behind him. The flare-esque glow illuminated the jagged features of the beast, its eyes glowing like coals in the night. There was no time for fear, he could feel the adrenaline burning through him, sharpening every sense. "Charlie!" he called, but the dog was already poised, teeth bared, prepared to defend. Jason's pulse raced as he gauged their options. He couldn't leave the child behind again. Not now. Then he noticed it, the creature hesitated, its massive form twitching, confused by the brightness. Jason turned back to the direction where Lisa and the girls had vanished. They were still out there, somewhere, and they needed him more than ever. "Let us go," he commanded Charlie, sprinting toward the shadows they had just escaped. He could hear the crackling of the underbrush as the creature regained its focus, its growl resonating like thunder. With one last glance over his shoulder, he saw it lunge forward, the flare's light fading fast. The trees blurred past him, branches clawing at his clothes, but he pressed on. He could just make out the faint sounds of Lily's voice and the soft cries of the other girl. Hope surged within him, pushing his legs faster. "Stay close," he shouted into the dark. "I'll find you. Keep running." Finally, he broke through the thicket and skidded into the open space where he'd last seen them. The moon shimmered overhead, casting a ghostly glow over the backdrop of rugged trunks and billowing leaves. There was no sight of Lisa or the girls. Panic washed over him like a wave. "Lily!" he called again, his voice laden with urgency. "Over here," came a muffled reply from the left, followed by the sound of frantic whispers. Jason darted in that direction, his heart pounding louder with every step. As he neared, he spotted them. Lisa crouched low, cradling the other girl close. Lily was sitting beside them, her tiny fingers trembling as she squeezed the wrist of the stranger. "Jason!" Lisa looked up, relief flooding her features. "We thought you hurry." He cut her off, glancing back at the encroaching shadows, dread bubbling in his throat. "We can't stay here." The child, still trembling, clutched Lily's hand, her face streaked with dirt and tears. I am scared," she whimpered. "It's okay. We're here now," Lily reassured her, her innocence shining through the fear. Jason felt the warmth of that connection, a flicker of light in the madness. He knelt, meeting the frightened girl's eyes. "You're safe with us. We just need to move." He quickly assessed their surroundings. The three of them needed to find a place that could keep them hidden for a moment, just long enough to regroup. "Stay close to me," he urged, leading them deeper into the trees. They passed beneath the canopy of leaves, where the moonlight barely grazed the ground. The air felt thick with tension as they moved, their frames nearly blending into the shadows. Every rustle in the brush sent a jolt through him. But even as the fear loomed, a resolve was forming in Jason's chest. They would not let this end in despair. Then, out of nowhere, the air burst with growls deep, malicious and insatiable drawn toward them. The creature was closer than they thought, its presence suffocating and primal. Jason's blood ran cold. He could hear it feasting on their panic, savoring their fear. "Run!" he shouted again, pushing them forward. Just as he turned back to face their pursuer, he caught sight of glowing eyes, but this time, he wouldn't face it alone. Noticing footprints lead from the clearing, Jason hesitated on the edge of panic before making a decision. He could either lead the attackers elsewhere or use what he had left, another flare flickering weakly in his pocket. With resolute determination, Jason pulled it out. As he ignited it, a wave of light burst forth, reflecting off the haunted gaze of the beast in front of him. But this wasn't just a flash of explosion, it was a last stand, a beacon guiding them toward a fight or their freedom. As the light radiated across the trees, Jason found himself asking, would this reveal light, or would it simply deepen the shadows? "Stay together!" he yelled, emboldened yet trembling, prepared for the inevitable clash. The shadows promised more than mere danger, they promised a reckoning that might just reveal truths long kept buried. What awaited them was no longer just survival, it was a battle for everything they feared had been lost. The night shifted as the flare illuminated the chaos around them. Every flicker cast grotesque shadows that danced menacingly across the trees. Jason could feel the cold breath of fear against his neck, but he stood firm, gathering his strength as the beast's growls vibrated through the air. Together, they faced the darkness. "Stay close!" he shouted again, tightening his grip on Lily's small hand. She looked up, her fearful eyes wide, but he saw the spark of trust there too. In that single moment, they were a family united against whatever terror loomed before them. The creature charged forward, and Jason felt the earth tremble beneath them. "Get back!" he roared, thrusting the flare toward the beast, its eyes flared in panic, a mix of confusion and fury. Flames danced in the night, casting a protective shield between them. "Lily, stay behind me," Lisa called, as she shielded their daughter from the impending danger. The urgency in her voice pulled at Jason's heart. The chaos surrounding them flickered with emotions far too raw and deep to ignore. "Run for the trees!" Jason shouted, racing through the memories that had brought him to this moment. The laughter, the warmth, and the sheer love he felt for those two girls behind him ignited something primal. Though danger still encroached, something shifted within him. This was more than a rescue, it was a chance to reclaim everything they held dear. As they darted away from the beast's proximity, scrambling toward the dense foliage, Jason felt a surge of determination. The shadows behind closed in like hungry wolves, snapping at their heels. But they weren't just running away, this was about confronting their fears together. In a split second, the tension broke. "We need to work together," he yelled, hoping to ignite a spirit of resolve in them all. He glanced back at the creature, watching it hesitate, looming uncertainly in the light of the flare. They had a moment, their chance to escape. "Find a safe spot," Jason urged as they reached a thicket of wild bushes, dense and protective. They ducked in, panting heavily, as the shadows seemed to dance and shift outside, waiting, watching. "Daddy, what if it finds us?" Lily whispered, her voice trembling still. In that moment, Jason felt everything he'd gone through, every ounce of pain, worry, and love all pushing him to find strength. "It won T." His voice was steady, despite the storm raging around them. "We're together now. Together, we're stronger." Charlie sniffed the air cautiously, his fur bristling. Jason reached down, offering a reassuring pat to the dog. "You've got this, buddy." Outside the thicket, the growls continued, but Jason's heart thundered with a different kind of urgency, the kind that comes from knowing you're not just fighting for survival anymore, you're fighting for love. Then, something outside shifted. The creature was less than an arm's length away. Jason took a deep breath, bolstering himself. He needed a plan. "Lisa, I need you to grab Lily and stay low," he said, a fierce glimmer igniting in him. "We're going to draw it in. When I tell you, run for the creek, you'll be safer there." "Jason, you can't, it's the only way," he interrupted. The warmth of his family felt at stake, swirled with the chaos around them. With one last look at his daughter, he gave her a heartwarming smile. "Trust me." And then he pushed out into the clearing, heart racing wildly. The beast perked up, threatening, as it fixed its eyes on him. He clenched the flare tighter. "Hey! Over here!" he yelled, forcing himself not to waver as he waved the flare. The creature responded, its rage coming alive, charging at him. Jason's mind raced as he waved the flare again, stepping backward towards the thicket, drawing it nearer in the impressive light. "Lily! Come on, now," he shouted, eyes locked with the creature. With a single movement, Lisa scooped Lily into her arms, ready to dash, but Jason made a fierce stand. "Now!" Just when the beast lunged, they bolted into the woodline. Jason's heart wanted to burst with hope. They were moving together now, not just into escape but as a collective unit, rising against fear. As they raced toward the creek, Jason could almost taste freedom. The shadows of the night were relentless and heavy, but his conviction pushed through. They dove out into the clearing, the water shimmering and bright ahead. "Sprint!" The urgency urged his body forward, faster, as he could hear the creature crashing through the underbrush behind them. "Daddy!" Lily's voice rang out, chased by the cries of an imminent threat. "I'm right here," he yelled back, urgency filling his words. Reaching the creek's edge, Jason turned to see the massive shape break through the trees. "Get in the water!" he shouted, knowing it was their only chance. As they plunged into the cool water, what once felt threatening quickly became a refuge, a fluid shield that washed away some of their terror. The creature halted just at the water's edge, its form colossal and mismatched against their small figures tucked beneath the surface. It paced, conflicted, growling low as the light of the flare began to fade. Jason locked eyes with Lily and Lisa. Fear still lurked, but now confidence was kindling, swelling in its place. "It can't swim," Sarah whispered fiercely as she joined them. Jason's heart quickened, tears mingling with cold water. This was their moment to seize. Just then, the creature roared, shaking the earth beneath them, but they held steadfast against the thrumming fear. "Together," Jason said softly, reaching for their hands as they grasped firmly, their strength pooled together. In this awakening, the shadows shrank back, the light fluttering now encompassing their existence. "We'll face this together," he declared, his voice mingling with the wind, powerful, unyielding. As the creature stepped back, shadows dancing like a reel behind, Jason felt something shift. It wasn't just about survival. They could overcome this beast, reclaim their illuminated lives, one step at a time. In that moment, he knew with all certainty, love was the fire that would light their way through the dark. "Forward!" he shouted, stepping boldly into the fray as one. In unison, they surged through, flooding through the confidence of family and love, embracing the transformation of fear into power. The world outside may have been chaotic, but together they were ready to rewrite their story. Jason, Lisa, Lily, and their new friend dashed toward a future alight in the darkness, somewhere beyond, waiting for them. And amidst everything, AK-9's bark echoed in the night, a reminder that together, they would always find their way home. Now your voice matters. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help bring more stories to life. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let us know what moved you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans know how crucial your support is.